Hey guys, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Laura Battles, and welcome to the new year. This will be releasing on the first Wednesday of 2026. So welcome. All right, I'm going to read Psalm 4, and then we'll get into what I want to talk about today. So Psalms 4. Answer me when I call, O God of my righteousness. You have given me relief when I was in distress. Be gracious to me and hear my prayer. O men, how long shall my honor be turned into shame? How long will you love vain words and seek after lies? But know that the Lord has set apart the godly for himself. The Lord hears when I call to him. Be angry and do not sin. Ponder in your hearts on your beds and be silent. Offer right sacrifices and put your trust in the Lord. There are many who say, who will show us some good? Lift up the light of your face upon us, O Lord. You have put more joy in my heart than they have when their grain and wine abound. In peace I will both lie down and sleep, for you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. All right. That is Psalms 4. I will be reading the psalm all this week, along with 1 through 3, and just let it just get into my head. If you don't want to listen to the Psalms, just remember the first 30 or 45 seconds of this podcast will be me reading a Psalm, and then I'll get into what I want to talk about. So this week, I wanted to talk a little bit about how to get started in 2026 homeschooling if you're new to homeschooling. For those of us who have been homeschooling for a while, this is also a good time to sit and think, okay, is what I'm doing working, or do I need to make some changes? The beginning of this year for our family, we're going to incorporate a few new things and see how those work. And I'll give that to, 6 to 8 weeks, and then I'll reevaluate how that's working. Otherwise, everything else we'll just keep on doing. So we'll continue to do math. We do morning table time with our history and spelling, grammar, and Bible study. And then they do some independent work. But the new thing will be some writing. If you're brand new to homeschooling, well, welcome to the homeschooling family. We are here to help you at the Resource Center. Reach out to other friends and family that you know that homeschool. If you don't know anybody, let me know, and I can get you connected with some other people that homeschool. There's lots of Facebook groups out there that do homeschooling. I know there's a couple that do field trips. There's a middle school and high school group. There's all sorts of ways just to get connected so that you guys don't feel like you're alone. The worst thing that I thought in my head, if I homeschool, I'm going to be alone. I have learned that I have way more people that I talk to now that they're homeschooling and they're a little bit older. I was very isolated when they were tiny, and I didn't know how to get out of the house when they were babies. And maybe that's your struggle, and that's why you've been hesitant to homeschool. But I'm glad that you have chosen to homeschool. And so here are some ways to get homeschooling. So the first thing you need to do is make sure you follow the 4 rules. And the first one is that you submit your declaration of intent when your child is over the age of 8. So you either do that in September, by September 15th, or within 2 weeks of them turning 8. So if you have a kid who turns 8 in January, submit that declaration of intent in January after they turn 8. You can find that. Actually, I tell everybody to go to the Washington Homeschool Organization website and use their declaration of intent. Don't use the school districts, because the school district will always ask for more information than is needed. So go out to the Washington Homeschool Organization. I'll put their information in the comment section. The second thing is you have to hit 1,000 hours in a year. And if you think about, there's 365 days in a year, that's about 3 hours of homeschool a day. And I say everything we do at home counts as homeschool, because everything that the kids do at public school counts as school. So lining up in a line counts, waiting for lunch, recess, all those things count at public school. So all the things I do with my kids at home count. Going grocery shopping and coming up with a grocery list. Boom, that's home ec. They're doing some math. They're doing some reading. We appreciate the arts and the music. All that stuff counts throughout the day. So I always say I do homeschool every day of the year, regardless of if it's official schooling time. So in the middle of summer, we're still doing some homeschooling. So that's the first 2. You have to hit the 11 subjects mandated by the state. And those are, you think about it, they're pretty straightforward. The only one for homeschooling that we don't have to do is PE. So that's not a required subject. But all the rest of them, there's like art, history, science, social studies, art and music appreciation. If you are thinking like, how do I appreciate art and music? Go to a museum in town, or for music, just do a week of learning about some music artists out there. Listen to the radio and go dig into who that artist is and what kind of music they are, and maybe about an instrument or all those things. The last and final one you have to do is you need to do a test or assessment every year. And I will put in there in the show notes who I use. I use Flow. It's Family Learning Organization. They're out of Spokane. I go online, I order the test, they ship it to me. We do the test like the last week of our school, our school year in about May. The kids take the test. I put everything back in. I ship it back to them. They do all the grading, and then they send me the test results. And if you have an online account with them, you can also get those, electronically to you before the mail version comes in. It is up to you if you want to open that piece of mail or go online and log in and see the test results. Sometimes I wait a longer period of time until I'm mentally prepared to look at those. Other times I don't look at them all. Sometimes I look at them right away. It just sort of depends on the year. And they usually tell me exactly what I already know. So like in this last year, in the spring, they told me that we were behind. We were not doing very well in spelling and grammar. I knew that. I did not spend a lot of time last school year going over spelling and grammar. So you know what we did all summer and into this fall? We worked on spelling and grammar. So I would expect our spelling and grammar to be much improved next year we take that test. But I don't need a test to tell me that. However, if you're following the rules, which you should be doing, you need to take that test or assessment. And the assessment is they'll send you a document of like papers you need to put in there that reflect your child's work, and then you send it back to them, and a certified teacher reviews that and sends you back a write-up about what they saw in that packet of papers. So it's super easy. You can get it done. The Washington Homeschool Organization has more testing institutes than just the Flow that you can go to and use. Just do one of them. Most of them are also slanted towards springtime. If you're like, well, our family starts like our school year in January and we end in December versus like the calendar year that the school district uses, which is a September through June, there are a few tests that slant towards the winter, and you just have to find those and test that way. That way you're not looking like you're behind because you tested in the fall versus tested in the spring. No big deal either way. And so I just say follow those 4 rules. Keep your documents just in case anything happens. In this day and age, you don't know who's reporting you into these, to the CPS. I hate saying these things, like the police department. Homeschooling has become more common, so most people don't bat an eye seeing kids at home. But you get some people every once in a while who are like, oh my gosh, those kids are outside and they never seem to be doing schoolwork and they just look like they're so feral. Let's call the police department. The police department's going to call up the school district and be like, hey, such and such kids at such and such location are supposed to be in school. And if you have submitted your declaration of intent, the school district will be like, no, they're not students here because they have a declaration of intent. They're homeschooling, and it's going to end there. If you don't do that, they may come and ask you some questions. So it's like when you drive, you're supposed to have your driver's license and your insurance and your vehicle registration. Nobody knows you have those things unless you get pulled over or you get into a car accident, and then you have to show proof that you've done it. I equate that with homeschooling. No one's going to check your paperwork until something happens, but I just want to make sure I'm covered. And so that's why I always tell people, follow the rules in the state, because they are pretty laid back. If you look at a map of the United States of who has the most laid back homeschooling laws versus the most intense homeschooling laws, the West Coast is sort of like right there in the middle. We have a few that you have to follow. If you go into just the Midwest, they're pretty loose. But if you go to the East Coast, They're intense homeschool laws. And the last thing we want to do is get those intense homeschool laws from the East Coast put on us on the West Coast, because we have all become so lax and we're not following the rules. And so that's my only reason I harp on following the rules, is not because I don't think that some of them are a little bit silly, because my personal opinion does not matter. It's that I don't want to have East Coast homeschooling laws put on us over here in the West Coast. So just follow the rules. They're pretty simple. If you have any questions, you can reach out to Washington Homeschool Organization or myself, and we can get you going. With that said, I am not a parent qualifying course. On your declaration of intent is going to ask if you qualify to teach your children, which I want to say everybody is, but according to the state, you have to meet one of their criteria. So it's like if you have 45 college credits, if you've taken the parent qualifying course, and there's 2 others. The first 2 are the sort of the simplest way. Taking the parent qualifying course, I know Washington Homeschool Organization offers those at the beginning of the year. The Teach the Children Resource Center is not qualified to offer that class. And the other one is having 45 college credits. So like I have 45 college credits, but if for some reason I didn't and my husband did, he could be the overseer of our homeschool that we do. I would just make sure that he's looped in of everything that's going on during the day, and he would be considered the overseer. I already loop him in anyways, but since I have 45 credits, I can just mark that box. But if you don't, just loop in your significant other, and as long as that person does, you're good to go. So those are the first thing. Now that you have all those bases covered and you're like, okay, what do I do with this kid all day? And you're wondering, and you've just pulled him out of school and you want to homeschool. First things first, take a deep breath. You're going to do awesome. Take some time off. If you have just unenrolled them from the public school system, take some time off and get to know your kid. Go out on some play dates. Go outside. The weather here hasn't been horribly crazy, except for the rain. But it's not like snowing and freezing. Go out to the parks. Go to the library. Go to some of the museums we have here in town. The roads are pretty doable. You can go up to Yakima. Yakima has some pretty cool museums. Go to Walla Walla. Check out those museums. So there's lots that you can do that's still school, but not like opening up a book. If you're like, I really want to get them going right away, you can go online and order some curriculum. You can come in here to the Resource Center and I can show you some of what we have. And behind me, if you can see, I'm in a different location. The bookstore is open. So the consignment portion of the Homeschool Resource Center is open. If you have curriculum that you no longer need, or you want to sell and you're like, Facebook Marketplace is not working, no one ever does it, I want to just get rid of it, and I also am tired of it clogging up space in my garage, bring it in here and I can put it up on our shelves and people can come in and look and purchase, and then you'll get some of that. All the consignment rules will be on the teachthechildren.net website, and so you can see how you can do that consignment. But the bookstore's open. So if you're like, I just want something in my kids' hands today, come in and you can leave with something. I have workbooks you can go through, which I love. My kids use those to supplement the big topics we go through, especially in math. So if I'm teaching my kids double digit or triple digit multiplication and they're struggling with it at first, I'll grab a notebook and give that to them extra so they can work through it on their own. Maybe you want to read some history books. You have some in here. You can come in here and you guys can go over history. There's also the library. You can check out the library and do that. I buy a lot of things off of eBay. Check out, like I said, Facebook Marketplace. Or you can just do a unit study. So let's say you bring your kid home and they want to learn about the polar bears. Go down to the library, research polar bears, go online, research polar bears, go to YouTube, research some more polar bears, and then have them do like one of those boards, those 3-sided boards presentation. Have them do a poster board presentation. Invite some friends and family over and have them learn how to present their topic in front of people. All of that is great school work. Like they're learning how to get in front of people. They're learning how to present ideas and their topics, their research topics, in a presentable, logical fashion. If they're older, you can have them do research papers. I have my oldest right now read a book, one book about a week. It's a shorter book, so don't think I'm asking him to read like huge, thick chapter books, but he reads a shorter chapter book. And then the following week, while he's reading a new book, he has to review the old book by writing me a very short 3-paragraph report on that book. And it's nothing big. We go over it, and I've told him the first draft is just you getting your ideas down. Then we'll work on it. We'll edit it. And then you do another one, and we'll edit that one again. And then it should be your final draft. And we just go through that process. I do not expect my younger children to be doing that. That is something that he does. But as my younger children will get older, I'll start having them do that. And that's just really simple. He goes to our library at home, picks out a book he wants to read, does a report on it. And that way I know that he's read the book and he can remember the book. And then he can present the book to someone who has never read that book to that person logically and in a way that's not all scattered out there. So that just is very helpful. So those are lots of things you can do. We also do, like I said, morning time around the kitchen table. So I'll do like our spelling, our grammar, and I've just picked up like some spelling books and grammar books from online. We go over that all together. So all the kids do that all together. We do our Bible study together around the table. If you want to do whatever fits your family values, that's when you could do it all together at the table. And that's what we do right about 9:00. So the kids get up, do all their chores, practice their musical instruments. I get the house ready. We do our morning study time together. We also do our history and science together this year at the table. And then we have what I call a long mind dump, where they have had everything put in there and they've had to hold still at the table. And then I send them outside and they go, you can see they just like run circles and they're just trying to let everything out, let everything process. And then after about 10-15 minutes, they come back in and they do their math or their writing or whatever they have to do independently and turn that in. And usually around noon, 1:00, we're done for the day with like structured work. I know other families who do homeschooling in the afternoons because mom and dad work in the morning. I know other families who do homeschooling on the weekends. So whatever works for your family. I know other families who don't want to do a table, like their kids are too spread out in ages or it didn't really work for them. So they don't do that morning basket time around the kitchen table or around your couch. I also let my kids sort of pick where they want to go. So if they want to do it at the couch, we go to the couch. Some days we do it at the kitchen table. If we're actually doing like writing work, we have to go over to the kitchen table eventually, but we have done it at the couch. I also have some of my older kids read with my younger one. So he is still learning to read, and so he'll sit down with one of my older two and then he'll read to them so that I'm not always having to be involved and they have to learn how to pay attention, gently correct things that he has missed while reading, and help them learn how to decipher words together. So if either of them don't know how to decipher the word, they'll come to me and we'll go over our phonetics together and it's just a quick review. But that's how I do. I have my olders, help my youngers. We do all family. So do what works best for you guys. But also if you're just starting up in 2026, don't feel like you have to do it all in January. Ease into it. Just enjoy this newness and enjoy being a family. Let them sleep in a little bit. Go out on nature walks. Do all those things. And the more you get your feet under you and the longer you've been doing it, the more you'll find the routine that best works for your family. But the big thing, make sure you follow the laws. So I don't even care if you have been homeschooling for 20 years and you're like, the laws don't apply to me. Yes, they do. Please do follow the laws. And I know I've heard all the arguments. I don't care. Follow them. Good gracious. We do not need stricter homeschool laws in the state of Washington because a bunch of people aren't following the current ones that we have. So that's all I have to say about homeschooling. I am so thankful we have made it to January of 2026. I'm excited for you guys to be here. So, and again, some cool things going on down here at the Resource Center. We have the consignment store open behind me. We have classes that have just kicked off, so go register for them. We have watercolors. We have some sewing ones. We have a fallacy detective class. We have a Spanish class and an ELA, like a preschool type of class. So those are all super exciting. Get signed up for those classes. And the homeschool convention, that is March 28th. Get your tickets. Don't miss out. We're at the Hapo Convention Center this year. It's going to be awesome. I am bringing in a bunch of cool speakers, a bunch of awesome vendors, and we'll be able to just spend one full day having a homeschool community and being able to interact with each other. That's what I enjoy, is being able to come back every year and see this families come back that are the same. And we're just, it's like a reunion, it's like, yay, you're back, you're here. And so I love it. So do those couple things. And I don't know. I think that's it. All right. Make sure you like and share this podcast. Tell your friends about it. Hook up the Hungry for Wisdom podcast network. Good gracious. And I will see you guys next week.